best way for companies to surf the digital revolution is to build trust with their customers and to build trust with their employees. One of the ways in which companies can do that is to have frank conversations with the workforce, to sit down with workers and their unions and to say, look, here's the challenges that we're facing. But importantly, to ask them, how can we best get there? Because all too often, a lot of the solutions that a company can put in place that will make a real difference, the employees know the answer to that.
Multilateralism is not only the best, in many cases the only way in which you can deal with global issues, because we're dealing with global challenges and therefore you need global solutions, you need multilateral solutions. They take a little longer, yes, of course, but once you get it, then they will stick around for longer and you will get greater ownership, and therefore you will tend to have more effective solutions. The other way is that, of course, unilateralism is always about who is stronger in a bilateral relationship. And therefore, by going multilateral, what you do is you balance, and all the opinions count. Of course, you always have the bigger countries speak louder, but the differences are less, and also the needs of the smaller countries, the needs of the developing countries, the needs of the groups in a society that are left behind, then they are much better addressed by a multilateral approach. So yes, today we need multilateral more than ever before.
We have just concluded the meeting here in Stockholm of the European section of the Trilateral Commission. I think it's been a great meeting. I think we've been able to have a dialogue on a lot of the issues that are of concern to all of us. Where are we going on the climate issues? How is the digital transformation going? What is the security really going to look like in the digital world? Where is Russia heading? What are the Americans up to? What will be the consequences of Brexit? So virtually all of the issues that are topic of concern to us Europeans at the moment have been on the agenda during these particular 2 days in Stockholm. And then I think we have also been enjoyed the company of this very diverse and very interesting and increasingly young group that is the Trilateral Commission Europe.
I suppose the question we're all asking is, will the Brexit saga ever end? After 3 years after the referendum, and the British still haven't decided what they want to do, and they're now in an election. I suppose that the answer to the question depends on who wins the election. In order to try and answer that question, you have David Lidington, who was Mrs. May's number 2 in the last government, and who chose not to serve under Mr. Johnson, the current Prime Minister, and he's going to tell us who's going to win the election and whether that's going to bring things to an end. And I'm going to disagree with whatever he says.
Technology
technology is not a threat to democracy. I believe that technology can enable our democratic principles of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and really freedom of information so that we can make smart decisions about how and where we want to take the future of our countries. I think we have to be mindful of how the technology can be used against us and educate our citizens about those risks. But I think that technology truly is an enabler of our society and that we should continue to embrace it, not refrain from it.
To some extent, the school of the future for the adult workforce will essentially not be a school. Many people will have to continue to learn, continue to reskill, continue to upskill, but they'll do that inside their workplace. We will need to ensure that at least 2 to 3 months of learning are integrated into every single year that somebody is at work. The second thing that we know is that the Fourth Industrial Revolution is changing workplaces and the needs of the labor force so quickly that we're also going to need to quite fundamentally reform education systems. And that applies to the delivery and it also applies to the content. One, we need much more technology integrated into schools. And second, we need to ensure that young children are understanding how to apply these technologies in the future, understanding how to collaborate with each other rather than compete with each other, and understand how to apply critical thinking so that they're able to continue to learn throughout their life course.
So many unicorns up here in Nordic countries, and I think especially if you look at Sweden and Finland, Estonia, of course, in a class of its own. I think that it starts with fantastic education. We really have a foundation of education here in Nordic countries that doesn't kill initiative, doesn't kill creativity, and of course that is what it takes to be an entrepreneur. You need creativity, you need to be able to take initiative. So I think that's something that is really enabling this whole thing here up in the north. And then of course we have fantastic catalysts, events like Slush that are very, very different from anywhere else in the world. We actually let our young people take charge. So if you look at Slush, you know, it happens every year in Helsinki in Finland. And when you come to this part of the world, you know, be it Stockholm, Helsinki, Tallinn, it's definitely going to be cold, dark, there's going to be slush on the ground. So it's very clear that it's not the Silicon Valley. It's much, much better. And it's much, much better because it's different. We have 2,400 volunteers from more than 60 countries that build this fantastic event called Slush. And it's really the young people, they're volunteering, they're there doing and making that happen because they want to be there, they love to be there, not because somebody told them that, you know, please do this, please do that, but they're there because they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to make things happen. And they build this event for a few years, the best and biggest on the planet, and after that they go off and they build fantastic startups. So I think that the whole Nordic model is about enabling people to do things and giving the people, the young people and all of us the skills needed to be successful. We also have a fantastic safety net, so we all know that when you try to do new things, more often than not, you fail. And what do you do then? Hopefully you don't end up in the streets, you know, and dying, but actually you try again. And I think that here in the Nordic countries, it's fantastic to be an entrepreneur because you're not, if you fail, you're not going to find yourself without a roof over, your head, but you're actually, you have a safety net. You can go out there and you can try again, and before you know it, you build your first unicorn, and after that, hopefully go and build the next one. So I think that is one reason why we have the highest density of unicorns anywhere on the planet here in Nordic countries, and of course, our friends in Estonia are really in a league of their own in this. 1.3 million people, and they have 4 unicorns, Playtech, Skype, TransferWise, and now the latest one being Bolt. 1.3 million people, 4 unicorns. That's more than 10% of all the unicorns in Europe, actually. So the rest of Europe needs to get its act together. And then I think that if you look at this unicorn per capita, in China they have more unicorns than anywhere else, 200, but they also have more people, 1.4 billion people. So if you do the math, in China you need 7 million Chinese people to build just one unicorn company, while in Estonia they are much more efficient, only roughly 3,000 people you need to build one unicorn. So that's actually quite exceptional. So I think that we should all be more like Estonia, and that's something that we can definitely strive to here in Europe. So let's go out there and do things, and we'll end up with lots of new unicorns all over Europe.
For us in the European Roundtable, which gathers the 55 largest companies, most important companies in Europe, Europe's competitiveness absolutely key. The world is changing. We see lesser of continued
対テロ戦争ってことでした。